Jawhead with shorter cooldown, stronger ultimate for Kagura, and nerf on Moskov. Hey guys, what's up? Today let's check out the latest update on Advanced Server. First up, the Nerf Hammer strikes Novaria. The developer said her ultimate's long-lasting vision makes it difficult for the enemies to react. To balance, they had to shorten its duration from 8 seconds down to 5. Bad news for our Novaria players. Next is the buff on Jawhead. His first skill cooldown is now shorter from 5 down to 3 seconds at all levels. This means you can spam his first skill. And this is what happens with a 40% cooldown reduction. So short, right? He's like CC, but with a smaller range. Next is the buff on Kagura. The developer said the risk she takes when performing her combos is not fair compared to her damage. To fix this, they had to increase her ultimate damage. It's now stronger with the additional base and magic power scaling. Finally, some good news for Kagura mains. Time to buy that Exorcist skin. Next is the buff on Gusion, where they lowered his second skill cooldown by 1 second. And then there's also the buff on his ultimate, where it received a -4 second cooldown. I guess this is part of the Jungler Assassin improvement. Next is the buff on Hayabusa. His first skill will have a lower energy requirement in the mid and late game stages. Meanwhile, the damage reduction when hitting multiple shurikens is weakened, which means higher damage for Hayabusa. Get ready for the Assassin Jungler meta. Next, we have the nerf on Fredrinn. His ultimate will have a lower conversion ratio in the early game, which means lower damage. As expected, this tank jungler got another nerf. And then they also nerfed Baxia. The damage reduction when activating his ultimate is weaker in the early game, but in exchange, the cooldown is now shorter at late game. There's also a slight buff on his second skill, where they lowered its mana cost by a few points. It seems tank junglers are going down one by one. Next is the buff on Aulus. His ultimate will have higher damage in the mid and late game. Based on these recent changes, it seems the developers are going through his experimental adjustments. Next is the nerf on Moskov. They lowered the attack speed buff on his first skill in the late game, and they also shortened the duration when revealing enemies with his second skill. I think he's still strong despite these nerfs. Next is the revert on Natan's ultimate. They cancelled the nerf on his ultimate damage. Compared to official server, the stats are still the same, which means no changes on his ultimate. Next is the slight revert on Chou's buff last week. They lowered the reduced physical defense on his passive skill, and longer cooldown to his first skill. Remember though, it's still a buff when compared to official server, so no need to worry for our Chou players. Next is the cancelled Sun-shin experimental adjustments. The changes did not meet their expectations, so they are reverting his skills back to his official server version. Next are the item changes. Flask of the Oasis will have a shorter duration when activating its unique passive, from 5 seconds down to 3. It's an indirect nerf to our support heroes. Queen's Wings will have a weaker damage reduction from 40 down to 30%. Remember, they've added new effects, so this is just fair. The item now has adaptive attack stats, damage increase, and higher spell vamp. The new item Sky Piercer gets lower movement speed, but in return, it now has a higher HP threshold. At full stacks, enemies will die if their HP is below 12% of their max HP. The new item Malefic Gun gets lower movement boost when doing basic attacks, from 15 down to 10%. Next are the talent adjustments. Impure Rage will now deal damage based on the enemy's 4% maximum HP. Good news for our Impure Rage users. The new talent Warcry gets a longer cooldown from 4 to 6 seconds. Next are the Lord adjustments based on the last week's patch. They further increased the Summoned Lord's max HP by 30%. It means it's harder to kill once it starts marching down the lane. Meanwhile, when the Lord is killed, it will give 25% less experience when compared to official server. Next is the visual revamp on Yin. He now looks like this on advanced server. And this is his basic skin. I like this new one more because of his abs. And lastly, we have the revamp on Zilong's epic skin, Chang Banbo Commander. So what can you say about the update? Do you like the new Jawhead? Share your thoughts in the comment section. That's all for this video. Stay safe and thank you for watching.